The technique that I'm going to share with you, it's really exciting. It all begins in 1991 with a discovery that surprised the medical community, surprised the scientific community, and it's the foundation of what sets you apart from all other forms of life in the world today. 1991, there was the discovery of about 40,000 specialized cells in the human heart. Now, they'd always been there, obviously. They were simply recognized in 1991. They're called sensory neurites. They're essentially brain-like cells, but they're not in the brain. They're in the heart. And they function in the heart very similar to the way that these neurons function in the brain itself. Now, on your screen, what you're seeing right now, two things. I want you to see on the right-hand side of your screen, you're actually looking at the neurons. This is what they look like. And I put these here because I want you to see that this is real. This isn't a metaphor. It's not make-believe. It's not, new thought thinking. This is rock-solid science that simply is not being shared in the mainstream. You're not going to see this in mainstream classrooms, textbooks, mainstream documentaries, because it takes time for the discoveries to trickle down into the mainstream. Yet we can use these discoveries right now in our lives for the reasons that we're talking about now, to help empower us. The better you know yourself, the better equipped you are to deal with change in your life. And this is a key component of empowering yourself in the change. Now, on the left side of your screen is a schematic diagram of the human heart. And if you look closely, all those little light dots that you see, the light-colored dots, those are the sensory neurites. Look at where they're located. They're located all around the places where the blood enters into the heart and where the blood leaves the heart. The arteries and the valves all are regulated. I'm using that word intentionally. I'm not saying they're controlled. I'm saying they are regulated through these neurons, these sensory neurites. Well, this is where it gets really interesting, because these neurons, as all other neurons, respond to you. They respond to your perceptions and the way you feel about your relationship to the world. Do you feel safe? Do you feel threatened? Do you feel fear? Do you feel a sense of well-being? The answer to that determines the signal that you send to these neurons, and that signal is going to determine how the blood is leaving your heart and entering your heart. But you already know this. You know this intuitively. If someone tells you information that is shocking to you, you might feel that sense of lightheadedness, maybe a little bit dizzy. And the reason is because you have perceived information that you didn't know about. It may have a shocking consequence, maybe the loss of a loved one. Your neurons are going to shut down or open up the blood flow to your heart. If it's shocking news, it will actually constrict some of that blood flow into the brain, and you will feel that lightheaded feeling, and this is the reason. It's also the reason that you can learn to regulate how you respond to that kind of information. So I want you to see these neurons. Look at where they're located, and this is why it's so powerful. Now, I'm really excited. The image that you're looking at right now, beyond the schematic, this is the first three-dimensional map of the heart's nervous system. So you're actually looking at the image of the human heart. And if you look towards the top, the yellow, all the little yellow that I'm highlighting for you right now, those little yellow areas, those are where the sensory neurites are primarily located. It's the first time we've been able to map these physically in the living human heart. It's exciting. I'm sharing this with you now because we're going to begin accessing those neurons. And when we do, I want you to know that you're accessing a part of yourself that is unique to the human being. No other form of life can access consciously, at will, on demand, the neurons in the way that you and I are about to do, to self-regulate your biology, to self-regulate. What's that mean? Self-regulation is what allows you to choose your response to the world around you. Remember, the better you know yourself, the better equipped you are to deal with changes in your world. So rather than reacting to what the world is giving you, this relationship between your perceptions, these neurons, and where they're located in the heart empowers you. This is one of the highest levels of mastery that you can imagine. It empowers you to choose the way your body is going to respond. We're going to go through the technique to do it. So these neurons, I want you to know that the neurons in the heart, they're arranged just like a neural network in the brain, certainly not as large as the one in the brain, but they are arranged as a neural network in the brain. The neurons in your heart, they learn independently of the neurons in the brain. They think independently. They experience, they have their own independent memory, separate from the neurons in the brain, separate yet related. The neurons in the heart is where we access our heart intelligence. This is where we access our deepest states of intuition. So what this says to you is every experience that you'll ever have in your life, you're essentially you're having it in two places. You're having it in your brain, you're having it in your heart. So what this says to you is that for every experience you will ever have in your life, the greatest joys, the deepest sorrows, the greatest suffering, and the greatest states of ecstasy, you're experiencing them in two places, in the neural network of the brain and the neural network of the heart. Now, if your experiences are joyous experiences, then rarely is there any problem. You rarely hear people say, God, I'm having so much joy in my life. I need to reel it in. They don't go to a therapist to reel in the joy that they're having in their lives. But we all have trauma from time to time. Different kinds of trauma for different people. And when we have that trauma, it is experienced in two different places, in the cranial brain and in the neural network of the heart as well. And this is the reason it's important to access both of these networks for our healing when it comes to resolving what those traumas have meant in our lives. And the technique that we're about to experience is one of the techniques to do just that. Now, I want you to know that the technique that we're going to use, it has so many functions, and I'm going to zero in on a specific function that serves us for the wisdom codes, but I'm also going to share with you that there are many other aspects of this technique that can serve you in really, really beautiful, very powerful ways. I'm going to begin talking about what we call a soft technology. When people think about technology, they usually think about computers, wires, chips, chemicals. You and I, we are a soft technology. We're not computer chips and wires and chemicals. We're neurons, cell membranes, ion fluids moving the potential across cell walls. That is a soft technology, a highly advanced, technologically sophisticated soft technology. You and I have the ability to do something that no other form of life can do. And that's what I want to say to you. I want to share this with you right now. Because we have a neural network in the brain, we have a neural network in the heart. Two separate organs, but look at this. We're the only form of life that can harmonize two organs into a single potent system in our lives. We can harmonize that neural network in the heart and the brain, bring the neural networks together to serve us in a way that no other form of life can do, at will, on demand, consciously, when they choose. Wow, that is what makes you such a very powerful being. This is one of your highest levels of mastery, is the ability to do this. When we harmonize the heart and the brain, the technical word is called coherence. Heart-brain coherence. So I want to talk to you briefly about coherence, and then let's do this technique. We'll experience it together, and we're going to do it through every one of the modules that we experience in this course. The optimum frequency to harmonize the heart and the brain is a very, very low frequency, 0.1 hertz. So low you can't really even hear it. It's like right on the threshold of where you can feel and hear. It's a very powerful frequency. 0.1 hertz is the frequency that whales communicate with in the oceans because it is such a universal frequency. Now, I want you to know why this is such a powerful frequency, and I am really happy to talk to you about this because My primary degree is as an earth scientist, geophysics. I love to talk about the Earth, about our planet. 0.1 hertz gives me the opportunity to do that. What you're looking at on your screen right now, this is a cross-section of our beautiful planet, and you're seeing in the cross-section the magnetic fields that surround and protect us. Now, this is an artist's conception. The next image you see, this one here, is actually a NASA image from a satellite in space looking back on the planet. So Earth is the ball, obviously, the dark ball in the center. And the magnetic fields, the multiple layered magnetic fields, are surrounding our planet. But if you look closely, what you're seeing on the left-hand side of the screen, you're seeing that those magnetic fields are deformed. They're flattened. And the reason is because the sun, the energy from the sun is coming from the left-hand side of your screen, 93 million miles across space. The energy from the sun, the solar wind, the plasma, is pushing against those magnetic fields. It's deforming those magnetic fields as they protect us on our planet. It is also doing something else. If you look closely, there's not one field. There are many, many different fields within the field. You can think of these fields as the strings on a musical instrument. I'm a musician, so I'm a guitar player, so I think of this in terms of guitar. So if you look closely, what you're seeing is those magnetic lines are in motion because the energy from the sun is touching them. So I'm going to invite you to think of it like this. Think about the energy from the sun plucking each of those strings of the magnetic field, and when it plucks them, it makes a sound. And I have that sound for you. I want to share this with you because we now have the ability to listen to what the magnetic fields of our planet or any planet sound like. It may surprise you. And a lot of people, when they think about the magnetic fields, they think it's going to be like this angelic, very high-pitched, soft sound. That's not what this is. It is a deep, resonant, intense sound. I want to play this for you because I want you to listen. It is sounds within sounds, harmonics that are happening, and then we'll talk about that in just a little bit. So the next image, this is what this sound actually sounds like. I want you to hear this, and I'm going to bring it up for you gradually. I want you to listen closely to these sounds. You can hear the harmonics in one sound inside of another. Pretty amazing, huh? So what this says to us is that these fields, and once again, I want you to know this is real. You are actually tapping into these fields in a very profound way, and that's the next thing I want to share with you before we have the actual technique and the experience. I don't want this to be technical, but I want you to see the chart you're seeing. It's called Earth's Magnetic Field Line Resonance Frequencies. All I want you to know is this. Look at the first spike you see on that chart. And if you look at the axis on the bottom, it's not 0 and it's not 0.2. Guess where that spike is. Just take a wild guess. Where do you think that spike is? If you guess 0.1, you're right on. And if that number looks familiar, it should, because that is precisely the frequency that optimizes the relationship between the heart and the brain. 0.1 hertz. And why am I saying this to you? I'm saying this because when you harmonize your heart and your brain together, not only are you harmonizing the heart and the brain and the systems of the body, but look at this. You're harmonizing your entire body to the fundamental frequency of the magnetic field of the planet you live on. Wow, what a powerful thing to do. You're bringing your body and all the systems of your body into alignment with the magnetic field of this planet. That's a powerful thing to do. This is where your healing begins. This is where your healing begins. And there's a very good reason for this, because not only are you optimizing and aligning the heart and the brain. If you look at the chart on your screen right now, this is an amazing chart. If you can't read it, don't worry, because neither can anyone else. This is a chart of the metabolic pathways in the human body. And what it says to you is everything is connected to everything else. Everything in the body is connected to everything else. This is the reason if you take an antihistamine for an allergy, yeah, it takes care of the allergy and it may make you sleepy. They'll tell you don't drive while you're doing this, or it can affect other aspects in your biology. This is the reason, because everything's connected. Well, this connection is good news, because what it means is when you harmonize the heart and the brain, that harmony is not limited to the heart and the brain. This chart tells you. It now is extended to every organ in the body, all the systems in the body, the reproductive systems, the respiratory systems, the cardiovascular systems, the neural networks. Everything is harmonized, optimized. Think of it like this. When you use the technique we're about to use, it's like saying to your body, all systems are go. All systems are go. So now that we understand the power of coherence within our bodies, and that we have the ability to create coherence between our heart and our brains, the harmony between the heart and the brain and the entire body, all the systems in the body, let's do it. Let's do this technique. This is my favorite slide. I'm going to play just a little music in the background just to average out any other sounds that might be happening around us. Once again, I'm going to invite you, please be in a place that's safe to do this. Don't do this if you're driving. If you haven't done so already, I'm going to invite you to close your eyes. Allow your awareness to move from your thinking mind into your feeling heart. And I'm going to do the same thing right here because we're in this together. Just allow your awareness to move from your mind to your heart. What our ancestors have told us and what they teach in their traditions is that can help to focus our awareness in our heart if we gently touch our heart center in a way that's comfortable. It could be a full hand, a full palm over the heart center. It can be a finger, 2 fingers. In the Buddhist tradition, they create a prayer mudra and nestle that mudra gently into the hollow of the chest. Whatever feels appropriate, whatever feels right for you. I invite you to gently touch your heart center and allow your awareness to go to the place where you feel that touch. This is the first step. In the second step, I'm going to invite you to slow your breathing, just a little bit slower than you would typically breathe. Now, there is a code, there's a ratio to optimizing a slower breath, and the secret is this. You want to allow the exhale of the breath to be longer than the inhale. Everyone breathes differently, so I'm going to recommend that we do maybe 5 seconds on the inhale, 8 seconds on the release, but you do whatever is comfortable for you. Let's do this together. With your awareness, with your focus in your heart center, gently touching your heart. Step 1, step 2. I invite you to breathe just a little bit slower. Inhale, begin. And release. Just feel that shift in your body. Inhale again. And release. And focusing on your heart center one more time. Inhale. And release. To the best of your ability, if you can continue breathing just about that pace. Step number 3. I'm going to invite you to have a feeling, positive, life-affirming, uplifting feeling in your body. And while there are many feelings that may work for simplicity and for continuity, I'm going to invite you to feel gratitude. Gratitude works pretty much all the time for everyone, and the scientists have shown us that it's almost universal. When we feel that gratitude and we say thank you for the good things in my life, for my family, for my community, for my health, for my healing, that feeling is what triggers the coherence between the heart and the brain. So while you focus on your heart and continue a slow breath, to the best of your ability, feel that feeling of gratitude. And I'm going to do the same right now. Just continue breathing. With one more breath, I'm going to invite you to inhale. And as you release that breath, gently begin to open your eyes, become present in the place that you've created for yourself. Please don't be deceived by the simplicity of what we have just done. What the science shows us is that these 3 simple steps have been refined from thousands of years of experience, of human experience, learning how to set this process in our bodies. From only 3 minutes of this technique, we reduce our cortisol levels, the stress hormones, about 23% in the body. We elevate DHEA, the precursor to all the hormones in our body, 100%, just from 3 minutes of doing what we're doing. And we optimize this relationship between the heart and the brain. This is the place where you want to now insert the word codes. And I also want you to know, of course, that I have developed content. I've developed a course, a 9-module course that explores 9 different wisdom codes. It explores where they come from, their origin, each code, the history of where it comes from, the science underlying the wisdom code, what it means, and perhaps most importantly, we apply it together in each module of this course, real time. You and I do this together. So if you're drawn to what I'm saying to you, if this resonates with you, I want you to know that there is more that you can go to. And I hope to see you in that course. And if I never see you again, I'm honored to have been able to share some time with you today. Thank you for sharing a bit of your day and your trust in me, for allowing me to share what I've found to be true with you from our past. And I want you to know there is a continuity. There is a continuity between our ancestors and us. You can think of them as separate, but in reality, we stand on the shoulders of everything that they've learned, that they applied in their lives. And perhaps most importantly, while science may be only 300 years old, our ancestors' lineage goes back over 5,000 years in civilization. For 5,000 years, those who have come before us, they weren't trying to prove the relationships. What they were doing is exploring the applications. For 5,000 years, they said, this is how you use these understandings, these wisdom codes in your personal life, in your family life, in your community life. And in applying these, they got to work out the bugs. They got to find out what works and what doesn't. We benefit from all of that today. So this is what I wanted to share with you today. If you're interested, go to the Unity website. Check out the Wisdom Codes course. Ancient Words to Rewire Our Brains and Heal Our Hearts is the subtitle for the course. Thank you so much once again, and I look forward to seeing you for our next.